arrogant, throwing fits, ripping shit, tearing it, imperative. Then I'm killing this mic no matter where I live. These derelict rappers acting a fool, this embarrassing is flagrant. That's the nature of this entertainment, and we can't even change it. Guilty before arraignment, now the system tainted. But when we speak, they all laugh at us. And y'all wonder why I'm lacking trust. Trying to fight a giant with attorneys that can back them up. That's church versus science, both sides start acting up. I'm late on my assignment, hopping up a mile high, climbing, obviously never silent. New alignment, I'm defiant, cannot describe it. Used to describe it as a young graffiti artist. Before the beard, I always got carded. Hit every bar, even though my bar's been the hardest. The scars on my face, and I ain't always been the smartest. But I'll show you where my heart is. I said I'll show you where my heart is. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeves. Even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody will ever see. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. Even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody will ever see. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. I can show you where my...
The type of guy that would ride with the breeze. I'm higher than most people. I'm cold and icicle freeze. I'm liking to Mike Tyson. I'm a bison, a beast. I'm hot like Jamaica, like right by the beach. My pops is from a spot where they're fighting for peace. 8 years old out there watching people fight in the streets. All these sirens only make the violence increase. Yeah, we're still not loving police. It's that bright young American, nice, dumb, arrogant. Tight on a mic, but he might need a therapist. Heart full of kerosene, head full of fairy tales. Said that you're my homie, you don't know me, but I know you very well. Roll back on some West Coast shit. This whole track is wetter than your dress code kiss. About to hit the track, running on some retrofit. It gets so lit, I guess so, bitch, now let's go.
I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeves. Even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody...
Ladies and gentlemen, it is Tuesday. Hanging with the fellas.
Yeah.
Welcome to Sports Nonsense and Whiskey. Robert, how you doing this evening, my guy?
Excellent. It is one of the best days of the week, so, just kicking back and relaxing.
Cheers. Pinky is around. Some technical difficulties. His system decided to buffer all evening, so we'll see when he is able to rejoin. But we've got plenty of NBA to talk. We've got some NFL conversation, post-draft, picked a couple teams, and we'll run through kind of some of our likes and maybe sneaky plays for next season. And then whatever else randomly flows through our veins this evening. So with that all being said, thanks for joining us. Tuesday, Sports Nonsense and Whiskey. Robert, what do you got? Anything?
Well, we ended on a quick little disclaimer last week. So since Pinky's not here, we may as well just get this out of the way. The Bad Batch is over completely. Season 3 was a wild ride, and I am so satisfied with how it ended. As much as I hate how it justifies the sequel trilogy in some cases, I loved every second of it. I thought The Bad Batch is by far one of the better animated shows we've gotten recently. So tremendous storytelling.
Yeah, really good. Really good. I enjoy how it literally ties all the way from A New Hope to The Rise of Skywalker. And all 9 movies get tied into that 3-season run. Now it doesn't take place over that entire time frame, but it does
there's a good amount
pretty sneakily and well written by Dave Filoni and his crew, the way they tied in everything. So the sequel trilogy is here to stay. I think Bad Batch pretty much solidifies that in no uncertain terms, if you will. But it does so in a way that makes the sequel trilogy better. And I think it sets up Rebels, in my opinion, almost flawlessly.
Yes.
To be able to then tie in where Ahsoka and that storyline will end up taking all of that as well. So I really enjoyed it and thought it was very nicely done for sure. Just like you said.
So that was really my big one for you. I know you said you paused on Shogun. Pinky has finished it.
Yeah, so that's one of those things that might take me a minute to get through. Like I'm talking like beginning of July now at this point, because here's the deal. Really hard to watch something with subtitles if you have to work all day.
I mean, you can put it in English. There is the option.
Definitely not doing that. I enjoy film, and if you're going to give it to me in a specific way, I'm going to enjoy it the way in which it was given, not try to alter it. Now,
I'm a purist as well, so hey,
I say that also with the whole understanding that I would prefer to watch something on my couch rather than a movie theater. So I understand I'm already kind of altering because I do not have the same setup that a movie theater is going to have, but that's more a personal preference in viewing, not, I still want to see the correct version, if you will. So
Understood.
in that sense, I'm going to have to hold off until I can now I might be able to find some nights here and there where I can sneak it in, but it's going to be a minute before I think I can get through it. So we'll have to forgive me. But that's going to have to wait, because it was not going to work with me trying to, do my job like I'm supposed to every day. And I kind of like my job. So I'm going to make sure that's taken care of.
That's an important thing.
But I did get through all of, it's not Tales of the Sith, is it?
Tales of the Empire.
Tales of the Empire. Thank you.
I still have 3 episodes of that to go. So
good little short run there. I like where they go with that. I'll check out the Jedi situation next and see what that looks like. And then we've got the Acolyte coming up and a
June
few
5th.
few other things coming up. The Boys is coming up here season. So
The Boys, House of the Dragon, Rings of Power season 2 just got dropped for the trailer. Oh,
it's funny because the things coming up now, my wife is all about. These are some of the top favorite things, so we will not fall behind on these. So the ones that I have fallen behind on, they're just gonna have to deal with. But I'll stay caught up with the current good stuff coming up here for sure.
You better, because this is excellent stuff, man.
Oh yeah, not a problem.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan gonna be in The Boys. Ugh, so excited.
Yeah, that's The Boys is that's something fabulous for sure. I do enjoy that quite a bit. Pinky, are you feeling better about your situation now, good sir?
I don't know.
Yeah, buddy.
Okay. All right. Welcome to Tuesday.
Yes, finally, welcome to the club. We've missed you.
Guys, he made it. I told you he'd be here. Told you.
When you get new internet and it does not work the way it's supposed to, it is really, really pisses me off.
Yeah.
So I will be making another phone call to these guys and being like, hey, like if we can't get this figured out, I'm gonna have to quit. Like it was buffering while I was watching the Avs. I mean, for the little bit I was watching the Avs game, it was buffering. I was literally in my basement. The Wi-Fi pod is literally right behind me, and I wasn't getting a good enough signal to run this. Like, get out of here!
Wild.
So I'm upstairs in my bedroom, and the pod up here has actually worked great since we haven't had any issues upstairs. It's only, living room where the main router is, and then the basement. Like, are you kidding me?
Fun. Well, good luck figuring that out for now.
Hopefully
we're all counting on you.
All right.
What you got any nonsense? We talked a little Star Wars while you were gone. Figured that was something you'd appreciate.
Smart. I have not watched any new Star Wars, so I would not be the guy to talk about that.
We briefly touched on Shogun. Caleb says he's got some time to get through it since subtitles and all.
Shogun is amazing. I really enjoyed it. To me, the overall scheming of the characters is Game of Thrones-esque. I don't know if I think it's on that level. I could see some people maybe not thinking of it that way, but the way that the guy is scheming, the folks are trying to scheme to kill him, all of that is really Game of Thrones. I mean, I don't know if George R. R. Martin read this book before he started writing, because this book was back in like the 70s or 80s.
Or it's just, feudal Japan, and that's
Right.
how they rolled anyways, for power and respect and, those kinds
There
of
is that.
So,
There is that.
But
art imitates life imitates art, that kind of backwards roundabout things that happen.
If you haven't watched that, like, Shogun is a very good watch, and I had a hard time like stopping watching.
Well, here's the thing. I'll take it a step further. Although I haven't watched it, I was on top of it from the very beginning. It had been on set to record for like 6 months out. I was ready to go with that. So it's been sitting there waiting. But the step further would be, if you're not familiar with FX putting out great series, time to get on board. You're way late to the party. You can go all the way back to where they started with, I think it was called The Shield. And then you had Rescue Me, Sons of Anarchy. You come all the way up to Shogun. And
Mayans wasn't too bad from what I heard.
Mayans wasn't terrible. So it definitely is. It gives you a little bit of that fix of what Sons was, but it definitely doesn't give you the feel the same way. But there's a lot of great series and television that FX has put out over the years, to where if you like anything that you've seen from them, I highly recommend you go check out something else, just as a little side note, because they do a lot of stuff that I've enjoyed over the years. Rescue Me, I highly recommend.
Absolutely.
If you're going to go back, that one was classic. A little hard to watch at times, but really good stuff. So I will get Shogun taken care of. Don't worry. I will get it done. The other thing is, I think you guys wanted to discuss a spoiler-free new Apes movie.
Yes.
Yeah, buddy.
Get that out of the way before we start doing anything else here or other nonsense as we go. Go. Floor is yours, fellas.
Finky, do you want to lead this one?
I mean, I think you're more articulate about movies than I am. So why don't you lead in, and I'll play off of you.
Alrighty. So, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, spoiler-free. What an amazing movie to just find a way to pick up where this last one went off and tell a fantastic story. Caesar still very felt in the presence throughout the movie, even though this is 300 years in the future from when he passed. The acting was absolutely phenomenal. And I, being the movie person that I am and seeing how movies are made, one of the special features, if you will, that will come out when this movie is released on a physical, is without the digital capture. It'll be them in their motion capture suits doing all of the apes and things like that. So I'm super excited for that. To see Kevin Durant was awesome as Proximus. I loved him in Origins when he played the Blob. He was great. Getting to see him in more and more things. And just where this story is going to continue for the ape stories, because they said they've planned around 5 more with this. I just can't wait. So
wow, yeah, that's crazy. No, I did like the way that they took this, into the future, and I do like the struggle again of between apes and men, and can we trust men? And all the ape stuff is just great, man. It's just awesome. It was really a good movie. It's entertaining. Again, I'm not the hugest Planet of the Apes guy, but it's an entertaining movie. My son and I both were like, wow, that was really good. So, looks like Clayton's going to be on on a podcast on Thursday. I mean, Clayton's always welcome to come on here if he wants to join. But that's cool, bro. That's cool. We'll be able to ask you about Broncos schedule questions since the schedule comes out tomorrow. Funny enough. I think. Oh, the only other thing I should go back to Apes. Thought they left it in a good place for future installments, so that should be really good. And again, it's an enjoying movie, and when I go to the movies, I just want to be entertained, for that 2 hours to 3 hours. If I'm entertained and I'm not thinking about all the other struggles in life, like I'm probably going to say the movie was pretty good, right? So,
yep. Awesome. One thing that I was excited to see for the first time on the big screen was the
oh, that's perfect. That's perfect.
the Alien Romulus trailer from Fede Alvarez. I am very excited for that to come out. So he did great with Evil Dead, so I'm excited to see what he does with Alien.
Yeah, that should be fun. Aliens always again, Aliens is still one of the best action movies out there. So just to have something else get on that level.
Why are you doing that?
We've talked about that. I haven't seen Alien or Predator.
Son of a...
Or Predator?
Yeah, either one.
Dude, Prey, man.
I did see Prometheus. Because my wife wanted to go see it and didn't tell me it was part of the Alien franchise because she knew if I knew, I wouldn't have had any interest whatsoever. And I just happened to not do any research about what the movie was before we went, and then I saw it and I was like, "You gotta be dang it,
Robert! We need to do a Predator and Aliens movie night with Caleb. Like we got to, like you got to watch those two, man. They are like,
I don't know, man.
Just the first Predator. That's all.
They still hold up. Like even today,
they're on the list. They're just not very high up on the list.
Nah, you need to adjust that a little bit, bro. That needs to go up.
I still get shocked all the time when my wife tells me she hasn't seen movies, but then again, her mom just had like Disney movies. So there's like tons of like 80s and 90s movies. I'm like, you didn't see that?
It's rare. No. It's rare there's a movie I haven't seen. Those just happen to be two of them, and they're on the popular side. They just never. My family never watched them growing up, and then I never really had any interest to see them either. So
I'm not a huge. I mean, I like sci-fi. I'm not like the biggest like nerd into sci-fi.
It depends on what we're classifying as sci-fi, because like if we're gonna say like, Riddick is like top end sci-fi, then no, I don't like sci-fi.
Clayton, let's push it back a week or so. I've got somebody else jumping on next week, and 4 is a crowd, 5's maybe too much. So let's chat. Let's chat about that though.
Yeah, Polar Nights is absolutely correct.
This guy's on fire.
We're good. Sci-fi, perfect. Same page.
I like this guy.
Solid.
We can do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
I love the Stargate reference because Stargate is actually a very underrated movie.
Dude, talk about remake.
Stargate's awesome. I was actually that was one that almost made it on the list, but I'm like, I'm not gonna get to that too far.
I mean, the original one, cult classic style. So to bring it forward, and if somebody did it right, that movie could go hard too.
The TV show was pretty good too. I watched the first. I think I watched the first 2 seasons of that.
Never really got into that one.
I've watched a couple episodes here and there, but I've never really sat down and put attention to it.
All right, guys. You guys ready?
Are we going to start with NFL and then end on NBA since the Nuggets start at 8:30? How are we doing this?
Caleb, what do you want to do? Robert wanted to switch it up and talk some NFL. So.
I'm good with that. We can start there.
Okay. All right. So Clayton,
I'm not starting though.
I'm going to start real quick because Clayton's in here.
I'm not starting though.
Clayton's in the chat, so I thought we'd at least talk a little Broncos for Clayton since he's here. He's chatting it up with us.
He's all about Bo Nix, man.
Has Clayton heard what Clayton is surprised? Does he know?
I think I almost like fell out of my chair. Like I was like, wait, what?
I mean, you should know by now. I'm going to tell you the truth. Like, and I'm not going to
your opinion. Absolutely true.
I'm not going to. I'd like to think I look at most things other than the start of the season for Nebraska pretty objectively. I'd like to think I'm fairly good at that. So, look, dude, I mean, let's be honest. Before we start going into this, there's a lot of Broncos fans on the Kool-Aid train again. Like, real quick. They got right back on that goddamn thing with the extra sugar loaded in. Like, already, Clayton, I think, was talking about
Cam's
last
not
week.
listening.
What did he say? 12-5? Like, I mean, guys, let's.
Have we figured out is weed legal in Wisconsin? Like, have we
Look.
figured that out?
Here's the deal. I said they killed the draft. I thought they did really well. Everybody saying they failed because they went and chased after Bo Nix, this, that, and the other. I don't understand why he wasn't a first round graded talent along with the other quarterbacks. I didn't. From what I saw a guy who, if you put him in the right system, is going to be super accurate. He reads the defense really quickly. He can get in and out of position. He's sneaky athletic, and he does throw a solid, not great, but solid deep ball.
Well, he's got enough in the tank to throw the 45-yard. Most of the time, those deep balls are 45 yards.
The thing is like that's all you need if your timing and accuracy is what it needs to be. So I'm not wasn't down on Bo Nix, liked it. They went and followed that up with some other pieces that are really solid as well. So thought they did really good. Was really surprised that they killed the draft. I still have no faith in the people running it. I still have a lot of questions about the head coach, and I don't think the GM's doing anything right now, to be honest with you. But they did really well with the draft. So future could be bright. Let's see what happens. But to say they're not even going to have a winning season here, that's not even come on.
Would you at least say that besides your feelings around the coaching / GM, that you at least have more hope than you may have had in the past?
No.
That's the positivity I'm feeling throughout Broncos country, is that we have hope.
I don't have any hope. I have a specific level of expectation. And that is where the Broncos have placed me, minus the Peyton Manning years, for a while now. I don't have hope with the Broncos anymore. I have a specific level of expectation based on what was achieved the year before, and then what they did.
I'm completely opposite. I have hope, and I said they're going to lose more games than they won last year. I still think they're going to be, what I'd say, 6-11,
somewhere in that ballpark.
And I think that's still good, because again, I just want to keep stacking, talent on the roster, wins together, play together. And let's get to that point where we're contenders at some point.
Here's where I would start having hope. If I believe the people running the show, driving the bus, whatever you want to call it, were able to develop long-term and grow with the young talent. I've been pretty clear on what I think about Sean Payton. Good coach, not a great coach. I think it was more a product of Drew Brees being phenomenal than it was Sean Payton and his brilliance. And there's evidence to back that up based on what he did without Drew Brees. And you say what you want about what he had, but he still didn't achieve a whole lot. So now, could Drew Brees be reincarnated through Bo Nix and be a Drew Brees light or whatever you want to think about it? Quite possibly. Sure. I still don't know, though, if that equates to Sean Payton being able to do everything necessary to bring the team to where Broncos fans expect it to be in today's modern NFL. That's my question, right? Not that he wasn't a great coach or that he can't be a good coach, but can he develop and grow in today's modern NFL where it's gone to with offenses changing and the way defenses have to play and personnel and things of that nature? Maybe. We'll see. I'm not sold on that aspect. And I said what I think about the GM. I don't think he had anything to do with this draft personally. I think this was Sean Payton and his team, his scouting. Sean Payton always had a pretty solid defense, right? I mean, that was never much of a question in New Orleans. They've been pretty solid for years outside of some injuries and the whole issue
Man,
they had
that's not exactly true.
with bounties. They were always pretty good. There's a reason they were always
Their defense was pretty shitty for a while because they went 7-9 for multiple seasons, and it was based on the defense because Drew Brees was still putting up 5,000-yard seasons. But as Drew Brees wore down, they shifted focus to the defense and drafted more on the defensive side to bring that. And they got really lucky.
7 and 9 years though. You make it sound like it was a stint. They're sprinkled in with NFC Championship runs in the Super Bowl, right? So,
no, those years were after the Super Bowl.
Right. That's what I'm saying, though. Like, when Drew Brees was first there and Sean Payton first got there, they had some solid defenses. And then there was a kind of a down run there for a little bit after the Super Bowl. Like, yeah, we're on the same page there. And then it started building back up with Cam Jordan and the likes. And they were always kind of sneaky good. You kind of didn't expect it necessarily.
So they went 7-9 right after 2 years after the Super Bowl. Then they did go 11-5. Then they went 7-9 3 straight years. Then 2017, when they did have those really good drafts, they went 11-5, 13-3, 13-3, 12-4. So again, that when they shifted their focus.
But the 7-9 was all you got to remember. Some of that was, I do believe, Brees was missing some games, which changes the offense, which changes that defense drastically, based on the way they were set up and that offense to kind of front run and that does change dynamics. So, but yeah, I'm not saying they didn't have some down years, but that again, personnel was kind of brutal there. So they had, I do remember them being kind of injury plagued at a couple different times. Regardless, will Sean Payton be able to do something if Bo Nix is just a dude? If he's a Ryan Tannehill type thing where he's really good in the system but not great. He's not going to be the piece that gets you over the top. So he could be a starter for 10 years if he stays healthy and be solid, but are you going to be able to put enough around him to take it over the edge? Brock Purdy, in today's game almost. There's a lot of people who say Nix could be that. Accurate, maybe not the strongest arm, but if you put him in the right positions, he's going to get the ball out to all his weapons. Can the Broncos get enough weapons like San Francisco has to where he can be that point guard and distribute? There's still quite a few questions I have about the future. So I have a level of expectation. I don't have hope these days. You do some things and earn the hope back. I'm all ears.
Where do you fall, Robert?
I mean, I'm hopeful. I'm definitely excited to see where they're going, but I also can see where Caleb's coming from, where Payton, the game's just passing by and it's time for a bit of a new fresh blood to set up a new, stronger Broncos for the next generation, honestly. It's time for that to happen. It's time to leave the old dog behind. I think it's going to be really interesting.
He's getting at least 3 years though. Like they're not kicking him to the curb anytime soon. So
no, but we'll see what happens. I'm excited to see what's going to happen. I'm hopeful that there's going to be some big changes, but I don't know. Still at the end of the day, I think Payton needs to go.
Well, Pinky, who did I want as the head coach before any of this all went down?
You wanted D'Amico Ryans.
And I was on that bandwagon way before, a lot of people at the very beginning of that coaching cycle. So this isn't like me saying it after I saw what he did at Houston, right? That is where I wanted to be from the beginning.
Right.
So it's not that I don't think Sean Payton is a bad coach. Is he a great coach? Is he something that's going to be able to grow with the game? Well, that's where I didn't think it was the best personally. When you had an opportunity to, and if I was the Walton Penner,
but D'Amico didn't want to come here.
Well, but did he not want to come here, or did he not want to be under that GM? Did he not want to be in that situation? Did he want to come here with his people or people he felt wanted him? You know what I mean? Well, Walton Penner Group had a chance to completely clean house from a disaster in a lot of ways. And they chose to hold on to some pieces, and that cost them because that ended up with Russell Wilson and some other things that happened through the transaction before they even became owners, right? And then once he was already there, they decided to sign Russ to the extension because long-term it would have been cheaper. unfortunately, that didn't work out the way they thought it was going to, and it ended up costing them a bunch of money.
Which, at least they had the heart to rip the Band-Aid off. And
Absolutely. So power to them. They're like, we're not going to keep, going with this mistake. That
I just don't think D'Amico was coming here. He played for Houston. His wife liked Houston. I don't think he was coming here.
I don't disagree. Houston was the perfect situation for him based on what he wanted. I think you're right. But, did they really try?
Let's see what happens, because this year, Bobby Slowick is still there running the offense. After this year, if they're still good like we think they're going to be, Bobby Slowick ain't going to be there next year. After the season.
Agreed.
He's going to get a head coaching job. He's going to be like Ben Johnson for the Lions. He ain't going to be there. We'll have, new questions about them, right? At that point.
You're right. You're absolutely right. There could be some questions there. But for now, D'Amico has been pushing all the right buttons with the things he's doing. So that's where I saw more long-term potential, if you will. And, okay. So, yep.
So, Clayton, I'm excited. I like Bo Nix. Again, being at the draft in Detroit when he was drafted, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, are you excited?" I was like, "Yeah, man." Like, you have a quarterback. Pinky Jr. was like, he thought Bo Nix was the second best quarterback in the draft. According to Pinky Jr., he had Caleb Williams 1 and then Bo Nix. So he thought that was cool that we got Bo Nix. So I'm excited. All the reports. And again, it's mini camp, so like, how much can you really take from mini camp? But he ran the offense. People were talking he's way above where Russell Wilson was when he came in. So, what that means in rookie mini camp, I don't know. But at least we can have somebody who's competent and can run the whole playbook. That could go a long way. Maybe that makes Sean Payton look even better if we can open up his entire playbook, right? So we'll see. Now, I think we already talked about the Houston Texans a little bit, and I know one of the main topics we wanted to talk about the NFL with the schedule coming out and just some teams that we're excited for next year, and we're kind of doing like a little draft. So I know Robert didn't want to go first. So Caleb, you got the first pick. What team are you excited for next season, and why?
So this is kind of a silly, awesome transition. So thank you, Pinky. I appreciate that. Let me go ahead and discuss this with you guys for a little bit. The Las Vegas Raiders actually have me a little excited. Just as a football fan, and I'll explain why. Because when Pinky brought this idea to our attention, I started thinking about not just what people did in the draft, but how that lines up with what they have or what they may be getting back from last year that maybe they didn't, maybe because of injury or things of that nature, and how the combination of the whole could make teams either exciting or kind of sneaky to pay attention to. I say the Raiders for a couple reasons here. The first one is they addressed a skill position weapon for their quarterback. And they did also address the offensive line a little bit. And the ways in which they addressed those were solid or great in the case of Brock Bowers. Now, I know people are like, they already had a tight end, Michael Mayer from last year. Here's the thing, and I've been saying this for years now. They could truly disappoint me within the first couple weeks of the season, and I could take all of this back. So here's my caveat. I think Michael Mayer could be a really damn good tight end in this league. Almost
absolutely.
Not the fastest, but he can body you up. Jason Witten type, if you will. And he can block. Brock Bowers is a little bit more dynamic in the passing game, and he can block. Why would you not put both of them on the field at the same time with Devontae Adams, with Jacoby Meyer? You run the back in the backfield and Zamir White, who they put their trust in this year. Gardner Minshew is not a bad quarterback, guys.
No, not at all.
You have all of that, and Brock Bowers can then be the guy who can split into, or with Jacoby Meyer, switch out from the slot or out wide. Devontae, you always want kind of out wide. Just move him around the field a little bit. That's a lot of weapons for a quarterback to use. that you can also then really take advantage in the run game because you've got 2 great blocking tight ends to add to the line whenever you do want to run the ball. And you can run on either side. So the fact that they added the depth to the offensive line, they also added some pieces to their defense, which should help. I mean, Max Crosby's a beast, let's be honest. So they've got some things that they've not great necessarily pieces, but solid pieces on both sides of the ball, along with Brock Bowers for that offense. Look, Broncos fans, I know you don't want to hear this, but if that's the offense they run out there on a regular basis, is it 12 personnel, I believe it's called?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really actually kind of a scary offense, to be honest with you, next season.
So I just want to go back to Max Crosby real quick. Is he not the most underrated player in the league?
I think he could be the best defensive player in the league, and I don't think you'd hear me argue against it at all, to be honest with you, because I've thought about saying it quite a few times any given week. He just doesn't necessarily get the help, and he plays on the West Coast, if you will, which makes games a little bit later. People may not pay attention, or he's not on TV that much because of the Raiders being not great.
Yeah, because the Raiders haven't been great. He's phenomenal.
Yeah, he's really good.
He is literally in the backfield chasing your quarterback, chirping at Mahomes. Like I hate the fact that he's on the Raiders because I really like him. Like, I like Max Crosby a lot. And I'm like, you have to play for one of the teams I hate the most. Like, come on. So I think they're continually getting better as a team. Again, I don't see a lot that makes me excited. Will they be better than last year? Probably. Gardner Minshew is a good quarterback. You can win games with Gardner Minshew. You can win games playing 12 personnel and, having mismatched tight ends like Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer. And again, you can have one guy block and have the other guy go out. You can have them both go out and have the running back chip or like whatever's needed. So there's a lot of different things you can do with that. Their lineman they drafted, Jackson Powers Johnson, is pretty awesome from Oregon. He was a guy that I really liked, and I just didn't think the Broncos would have a chance at
A lot of people had him as the best center in the draft, right? So
right.
I mean, they got some pieces, like I said.
Now, the one concern I have with the Raiders is just, again, their defense still needs work. You got Max Crosby, and their defense played better once Antonio Pierce took over.
Mm-hmm.
But and then they didn't get as much from the offense. Aiden O'Connell is probably not the answer. That's probably why they brought Gardner in, and that's why they were really.
They wanted Penix. They thought Penix or Nix would be there, and they were taking one of them. Instead, they ended up with Brock Bowers. So not a bad consolation. It's kind of like what happened to, in the long run, maybe it's what's best for him, because it's kind of like what happened to Dallas with Micah Parsons.
Right. They wanted Pat Surtain, and they got Micah Parsons as a consolation prize. I feel like that worked out for him, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not excited per se for the Raiders, but I do think they'll be better.
I'm not excited. I said they would be exciting, and I
don't think they'll be exciting.
I specifically discussed the offensive side of the ball. I do think that offense can put up some fireworks this year, but I don't think they're a great team yet. They still have a lot of holes.
I think they took a big step back in the running back, which helped them win the games they did win last year by letting Josh Jacobs walk, which I get it. You've got to decide where you want to spend that money, and they didn't want to spend the money in the running back.
Well, they knew they had a lot of holes. They had to start spending that money in smarter places for now to build back up to, let's be honest, running backs are luxuries in the NFL these days.
They are.
Not necessities. So they're trying to build up the lines on both sides.
Robert, what are you thinking?
I'm not a huge Raiders fan, so I didn't really. I'm not a.
Robert's not excited.
I'm not excited for it either way. I could care less about the Raiders.
My man, that's what I'm talking about, Robert.
But
I appreciate Caleb going on that limb, because that's not a team I would have picked. Like, they would be like, they wouldn't even make the top 10 teams that I'm excited about.
Now, again, caveat, they got to run 12 personnel for me to be excited, right? Like, they really have to take advantage of what they truly have as weapons, in my mind. It's kind of like How long have I been saying I don't understand why Baltimore doesn't do that on every play?
With Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews, yeah.
So, they don't do it either. So, for whatever reason, teams don't in the NFL like to do that. Now, there hasn't necessarily been a, type where you've got a Meyer and now a Brock Bowers who's dynamic to do what I think you should be doing already. But still, you got to do that for me to be on this bandwagon here. But I could see where that could be really good.
The key to that is you got to have two guys that are mismatches in the passing game as well as competent blockers.
Agreed.
And that's not always the case. So when you're running that 12 personnel, you want to have two guys that really do have that skill set, and those guys do. Like
For
that
sure.
that is absolutely, like, if you're going to be excited by anything other than Max Crosby, it would be we've got two tight ends that could be, top 10 tight ends in the league, and they could be on the same team.
Yeah, and it's not just that; you could have arguably the best receiver out wide.
Right.
So whatever you do as your two receiver, and Jacoby Myers is underrated, sneaky good.
Oh man, he torched the Broncos bad.
So again, that's why I'm like, man, Raiders actually, that one pick and then adding to the offensive line the way they were able to, I was like, that there's a path here, but do they take the path? We'll see.
All right, Robert, we're going to transition to you at you get pick 2, buddy.
The Lions.
Oh, man, my man.
I am super excited for the Lions. They've done a lot in the offseason so far, with the signings that they extended for some of the main key players they had, and then for some of the drafts there. Yeah, Pinky. I can't wait to have my own. Specifically, Terrion Arnold. That man is going to be a beast on defense. I am looking forward to seeing how they really come together, since Detroit really overhauled that cornerback room. So to see where they're going to go with that to maybe increase their pass rush is going to be really exciting. Really looking over some of the highlights from last year with Terrion at Alabama. He had great vision. He was really explosive off the ball to get to where he needed to be. It was just great to see. Again, it's just going to be a totally different Detroit defense. And I think now that Goff's got a little bit more confidence in him now, not just with the people being built around him, but now the defense being built around it too, I think it's just going to be a power unit.
When someone gives you like 180 million guaranteed, you have that confidence too.
That's the second. He's right behind Joe Burrow, if I'm not mistaken. He's the second highest in guarantees. So Goff is going to be. He's found his home. I'm super excited for him, especially after how he was treated at LA. I think it's going to be great.
So I got to tell this story, Robert. Being in Detroit and at the draft, Andy and I were really shocked. There was something really weird that the crowd did every day that we were there. They chanted Jared Goff's name.
That's cool.
I'm talking like
that's weird, but that's
cool. We the whole crowd, Jared Goff, and we were like, I actually had to ask a guy. I was like, hey, I got to ask, man. We're from Colorado. We're not Lions fans, but we're celebrating a Lions fan who passed away. Can you explain this Jared Goff chant to us? And he was like, yeah, man. He was kind of thrown away. The Rams didn't want him. They sent him our way. They just wanted Stafford. We got 2 draft picks and Jared Goff. He works hard for us. He plays well for us. He's gotten better and better with us. He's our dude. And I was like, all right, cool, man. I can respect that. So it's they're chanting, but it was 275,000 Lions fans chanting Jared Goff on Thursday night. It was pretty crazy, man.
That's awesome.
What else has got you excited about the Lions?
So Amon-Ra, Sun God, of course, finally locking him down. I don't want to see him go anywhere. He was a beast. Him and Goff linking up last season was just chef's kiss. Amazing. So them getting both their paydays, definitely seeing their money worth. really excited for that. Amon-Ra, I definitely think is going to just be continuously to get better as the seasons go on.
I love his story and his he literally. I believe he does this. He says he does it. I believe he does it. Says he literally recants all the receivers drafted ahead of him before every practice.
That's cool.
Just to remind him, hey, you weren't supposed to be here, right? Just amazing. And Caleb, your boy got the bag too. You know what I'm talking about, right? We had the big Sewell. We had the big thing.
Yeah.
Chase versus Sewell, and Caleb was like, "No, man, you take Sewell. He's going to be that lockdown franchise left tackle for you. You just put him on there and don't have to worry about your left side.
Yep.
You're going to be fine." Sewell got paid too. I love that they paid their guys, and
well, they finally got a chance to because they finally drafted correctly, right?
They did draft well.
There where they blew those top 3 picks.
Well, they traded
not want to pay those guys
up 5. They traded up 5 for Arnold. So, no, they did great.
Right. They sat there long enough and was like,
yeah.
"We're just gonna go get him."
Yeah, no, it was awesome. I'm super, super excited. And I know they were adding some potential running backs too from some of the other draft picks. So looking forward to seeing how some of that plays out for him too.
I'm still how much better can Laporta get? That's
dude, yeah.
That's what's got me man. I love the Lions. They brought me a fantasy championship. I had David Montgomery, Sun God, and Laporta, and they brought it home for me because they all had big weeks on championship week. So I'm on that Lions bandwagon. I love their coach. Dan Campbell is just a dude.
Run through a brick wall for that, man.
The fact that he plays Metallica all the time, I love it. That's my dude. And I love Terry and Arnold, but I also they also drafted Enos Rakestraw from Missouri.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was gonna bring him up too.
Okay,
because
I wanted to make sure we touched on that.
Yeah, because with them, like I said, the Lions are resetting the whole cornerback room. So with Rakestraw coming into the picture too, it's just gonna be a amazing defense to even contend with. So the opportunities I think are endless. I think the Lions are here to stay. I think they're going to be a winning team. Honestly, if it's not this season, it'll be in 2. If they can get the chemistry right, I think they're just going to take off.
Is that not? Can we just say that division? Talking about what's exciting, I am excited about that division. I think every one of those divisional games is must watch.
Yeah.
Chicago, you got Caleb Williams in that offense. You've got Minnesota, and they've got a good offense with a new trigger man. Now you've got the Lions, who've got a great offense, great defense. They made it to the NFC Championship game. Then you've got Green Bay, one of the youngest teams in the league, and they made it to the divisional round. That whole division is exciting. So
completely. And I was also mentioning the running back side of things too. They also drafted, I believe it's Vaki from Utah. He played safety for him, but he also ran special teams. And going through some of the Lions reports and things like that with him actually being on the running back side and getting explosive with it. It'll be very exciting to see where they all go with the rushing game too. So Lions, man, who would have thought they're just going to become a powerhouse.
What do you feel about the Lions, Caleb? I know I talked a lot as well. So,
I mean, they're one of the top contenders going into next season. That's been the case. I think everybody kind of felt they were there going into last season as a dark horse, maybe a year away. That will no longer be the case moving forward. I just said they've been drafting correctly for a change, which has put them in a really good spot.
Mm-hmm.
Amon-Ra, he can act jaded and stuff because he went in the 4th round, but the guy wasn't a 4th round talent. The size people were a little concerned about as a one receiver, but
right,
dude, top dude coming out of USC, high profile college and passing attack. I saw him as a Steve Smith type.
So if
so
you
I
look at that
never-
draft class, there's some dudes you're like, okay, I could see that. But then there's some dudes you're like, wait, they got drafted over him? Like,
Look, it
come on
happens
now.
every year, right? Somebody falls and you're like, how did that just go down? That makes zero sense. And then they wear that as a badge of honor and a brick of, a sack of bricks on their chest and their back for their entire career. And that fuels them. So good for them. But as far as like overall talent and stuff, like they're getting steals and they're taking advantage of it. Terry and Arnold falling, who many believe was the top cornerback in the draft, possibly. He kept falling. They're like, we're just going to go ahead and jump up now. It's not going to cost us that much. We're going to go grab him.
He was mocked to Denver in multiple mocks.
Yeah. So they took a risk last year, and people were like, what are they doing jumping and grabbing Jahmyr Gibbs? Look what they already had with Swift and Jamal Williams.
I was one of those guys.
They're like, no, we see the talent we want. We're going to go grab it. And Pinky, what have I said about the draft every year? I don't care what somebody else's grade is. If you have them graded as the talent you want to be explosive, go get it and don't listen to anybody else. Don't be like, well, he could fall to us, so let's just wait because that's what everybody else's board says. No. Don't worry about what people's boards are saying. I love Mel Kiper, and I love the way he breaks down stuff. But I've never believed that just because Mel Kiper has some dude in the top 10 or the bottom 10, that's where I should draft him, right? Like, get your guys. And that's what Detroit's been doing, and they've been doing it correctly. So they're in a good place to compete. But the AFC has sneakily gotten really good at the top here, just like the AFC. And it's going to be fun to watch how these things play out over the next 4 to 5 years on that side. And obviously we'll be talking about it a lot, but you still got San Francisco. Pinky talked about Green Bay being the youngest team, but just loaded on both sides of the ball. You're going to have Chicago with that offense and Caleb Williams. If he's anything like people believe he's going to be, you still got Philadelphia.
Pretty awesome.
Still got Dallas. There's a lot of teams now that are going to be able to start competing on that side, and it's going to be fun to watch. I mean, Seattle could be something dangerous too, still to compete as a dark horse. They've been drafting really well and adding talent. Can their quarterback play up? Can they stay healthy? There's some teams maybe just a step down that you may not think about right away, but then you start looking at their rosters and what they've done, and you're like, oh yeah, that's still not an easy team you want to play in the playoffs kind of thing. So Detroit has put themselves in the upper echelon of the NFC, but there's a lot. I mean, they couldn't have picked a worse time to finally get stuff right when it comes to the pathway to that ultimate prize. But that's kind of the new way the NFL as a whole is going, right? Like, there's a lot more people, I feel like, in positions of decision-making, making smarter decisions finally. So we'll see how things keep playing out over the next, like I said, 4 to 5 years. Pinky, where are you going with your first pick?
I'm going to stay in division. And it was a tough one for me. I thought about the Bears. I do think, them doing – they've probably put more around a number 1 draft pick than anybody in history.
They're not even close. Absolutely. It's not even close.
And again, it's just like they got lucky. Hey, we don't want to take CJ Stroud or Bryce Young. So here, trade us all your picks and you can take them. And then they still end up with the number 1 pick the next year, even though they weren't that bad. They would have been, they got the 9th pick. So, fortune favors the bold there.
And let's be honest. And I think people are understating this or not talking about it at all. And we'll see if I'm right or wrong this year in Pittsburgh. He's going to have to prove himself because I do still believe he's going to be the starter from day one. And we'll talk about that more as the season gets closer. But I think they did love Justin Fields because they were willing to say, I mean, if they didn't get Caleb Williams, they weren't drafting a quarterback, I don't think. I think they would have gone like Marvin Harrison and the top offensive lineman or something like that with those top 2 picks rather than a quarterback. I don't think they would have gone Jaden Daniels or Drake May. I think they would have kept Justin Fields based on the way things were playing out and the conversations they were having in public. So I think the only reason they were willing to trade Justin Fields and go Caleb Williams is because it's Caleb Williams. And this is, everybody talks about him as a upper echelon, John Elway, Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning, Patrick Mahomes, like first round, surefire, can't miss. You have to take talent, right? So I don't think they fell out of love with Justin Fields. I think they just went with what they saw as the higher ceiling and potential. And so if that's truly how you feel, you can't not go that route. So if they didn't have the option to take Caleb Williams, I think they would have stayed with Justin Fields and just added even more talent, which would have been crazy because they were already able to add Williams and a Doomsday, right? So I get why it would be hard not to say them. Where did you end up going?
Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby.
Goodness. Okay.
Green Bay. Now, again.
Coming on the bandwagon, eh?
Well, when Jordan Love also helps you get a fantasy championship, you got to sing his praises, right? I was not a Jordan Love guy.
No.
And he started off the season really hot. And then he had like the middle of the season was really bad for Jordan.
There was
Love.
a 5-game stretch there in the middle. It was a little rough.
He lost to the Broncos. So there was a really rough stretch there. And I don't know if it was like their bye week or what it was, but
all their receivers were basically hurt at one time during that stretch. There were some issues.
You got injury issues at receiver. You've got their receivers are second-year players and rookies, youngest offense in the league. Took a while to get together. Aaron Jones wasn't healthy for a while. Like there's some contributing pieces there, but once they got it together, like you were getting like plays from Wicks and guys I'd never heard of, and you're like, where'd these guys come from? And they looked like they'd been playing for years together. Watching it, and it was cool to see that stretch where he was not good. Like I was like ready to like CJ Stroud was on the waiver wire before he blew up. And I was ready to like dump Love and put all this money into getting CJ Stroud. And I was just like, no, he had like his first 2 games, he put up 35 fantasy points a game in our scoring. So I was like, I just had that feeling like, no, I should stick with him. And thankfully I did, because his second half of the fantasy season was just fantastic.
Pretty good.
Just fantastic. And I just can't, like, what they did, and this is where Matt LaFleur is a really good coach. He's a really good coach. They lost in the divisional round to the San Francisco 49ers. They had that game. The fact that the 49ers made the Super Bowl is pretty crazy, because like the Packers should have beat them and the Lions should have beat them. And that's why I've got a lot of excitement for the Packers, because I'm like, they already got to that divisional round when you didn't think. I mean, they spanked the Cowboys. They embarrassed them in their own house.
That happened.
It was so great.
And we all loved it. Because again, I don't really hate the Cowboys, but there's so many delusional Cowboys fans that when they fall like they normally do, it just feels so good. And I feel bad because one of our good friends is a Cowboys fan, and he's a logical Cowboys fan. He's not one of the crazy ones. And I wish his team would be good at least, once, since 95, right?
I know that pain.
The Packers, like, for me, like, they got Josh Jacobs. For what they want to do, they want to run the football. They want to protect Jordan Love. That's a great pickup. And then they signed Xavier McKinney at safety, who can do a lot of different things in the backfield to add to their. And I would say their defense has always had, the last couple seasons, has had really good players, but their scheme has been very underwhelming. I think they changed defensive coordinators too, if I'm not mistaken. And then they drafted a couple guys, but the 4 guys I wanted to mention, they drafted Jordan Morgan out of Arizona. A lot of people didn't like this pick because they didn't have him maybe first round graded. Green Bay's done a pretty good job drafting offensive linemen. I think I'm going to go ahead and go with what they think is a good offensive lineman. So And I think Morgan had some injuries previously that he didn't play as much. That kind of maybe led to this. I still think they know what they're doing when they're drafting O-linemen. And then they drafted one of my favorite defensive players, Edgerrin Cooper, out of Texas A&M at defensive end as basically a rush linebacker. I think that's going to pay huge dividends. Because again, in the NFC North, you're going to have to get to the quarterback, man. Everybody's got decent quarterbacks. You're going to have to find a way to get to them. Then they got Javon Bullard, who's a safety out of Georgia. I really liked him. He's probably the best safety coming out this year. And they got him in like the third round. Or late second. And then they drafted another running back, Marshawn Lloyd, which is great. He's the kind of a guy that's got some home run ability.
If he cleans up his fumbling issues, his
right.
ball security, he's a dangerous talent.
So, finishing up, I'm excited about it. And again, it comes back to I would have taken the Lions, but Robert took them. And this division as a whole is just going to be exciting. And to me, maybe the NFC North is the other division that's just like it's must watch football. The NFC North is must watch football this year. It's going to be a really good time. You're up, Caleb.
I like it. It's kind of odd thinking Green Bay was able to go this whole draft with basically luxury picks the whole way through because of the position they're in. And I think you're right. They added to positions of need with depth and talent, sneaky talent, arguably, that could pay off huge for them taking it over to that next level. Where I'm going to go next, I think, is another kind of sneaky pick. I don't know if a lot of people would have had these guys on their radar, but again, it's about what the draft did for you overall and then what you have coming back that can be something special possibly. And this one is all risk, no reward kind of thing. It's all in center of the pot kind of stuff. And if it pays off, you're great. If it doesn't, it could set you back a couple. But the Indianapolis Colts, their first pick is swinging for the fences, and they don't care if they strike out kind of thing with Latu. Arguably the most talented pass rusher in the draft, but he comes with a pretty large question mark. One doctor medically retired him because of his neck injury. The same one that did Peyton Manning's ended up clearing him, went back to college, played a couple more years, and now number 1 overall defensive pick in the draft. So great talent, big time pass rusher for a defense that's actually been sneaky good. They just haven't had that true pass rush presence to help the really solid linebacking and back end core that they do have. You add that, if he can play and be solid to what they do have, that defense can be pretty good, which then in turn, this is where it gets kind of sneaky. They added a couple of questionable offensive linemen, but depending on where you want to play them, tackle, guard, whatever you want to do, you're adding depth. And it's not going to be guard because they've got Quentin Nelson, obviously, right? But one of them's going to end up being a tackle. The other one's going to end up being a guard, or they'll both be guards, and you'll just add a depth piece. But you add to a position that wasn't awful, but has had some injuries, which has caused some holes, which has caused some issues for the weapons you had on offense. So by adding these 2 offensive linemen pick that have some talent and the potential to really add to the line right away, you then let those weapons go off, which they then got a weapon that fell to them in the second round, which a lot of people thought was first-round talent in Adonai Mitchell. Right. So now you've got Pittman, Mitchell. You can then roll Pierce to your third wide receiver. You've got JT and Jonathan Taylor, who arguably the best running back in the league. And then all reports are Anthony Richardson is looking great. And he's shown a lot of maturity and improvement. He's got a handle on the offense. His injury doesn't look at all it's holding him back. They love the growth they're seeing from him. He was a weapon, and looking let's be honest, looking better than I think a lot of people thought he would in the limited time we did see him last year.
So I have one concern about that. He didn't finish a game last season.
I know. I'm not going to disagree with you on any of that, okay? Sometimes that's just unlucky. Maybe he worked too much in the offseason and his body was then already worn down by the time the season started. Maybe that is just going to kind of be him. And he's got to change his game, and hopefully he can. There's not really enough sample size. We'll have to kind of wait and see. But if it's just a one-off, you know, some rookies have a hard time transitioning into the league for whatever reason and then do fine after that. So if it is just a one-off, that Colts team could actually be this upcoming season's Houston Texans, where they actually are better than people expect them to be, make a little bit of a run because they do have some talent.
Who'd they pick up as their backup quarterback?
I don't remember, and I don't care, to be honest with you, because that's not what I'm basing this off of.
Yeah, they're going to need it. Just saying.
Well, who's the Packers' backup quarterback?
They don't have to worry about that. They don't have a guy that can't make it through a game.
Well, if Jordan Love misses time,
they're fine. They're fine. They've got Joe Flacco. They're fine.
Oh, good. I actually love that. I love me some Joe Flacco. So, but that's, I think, a sneaky team that could actually be, like I said, this year's Houston Texans, which, in all honesty, based on the talent down in Jacksonville, they should be good, even though they weren't last year. This AFC South could actually be a division where you're like, oh, this is actually worth watching because there's some actually really good, talented teams down here.
They could be. I think they're kind of interesting. They're not going to stack up against the Baltimores, the Cincy's, the KC. Like, they're not going to stack up against those teams. Buffalo, but I think the AFC South is still going to be competitive. I just don't think they're going to be like they're going to be more of the whipping boys than they are anything else. So, what do you think about the Colts, Robert?
I'm indifferent on the Colts. I haven't really kept up with them lately. I know I've got a big friend of mine, a great friend of mine actually, that's a huge Colts fan. So from what I've seen, I think they're pretty excited. So we'll see where it goes from here. I'll be honest.
Well, Robert, you're up, buddy.
Hey, man, I'm just waiting for this Nuggets game to start. I'm getting nervous.
I'm waiting for it to start too. They're waiting for the Knicks game to finich. It's almost done. Knicks are up big, so that should almost.
Oh yeah, so it was like when I was watching, it was like 20 points. Well, so the last one I've got is the Rams. Because the Rams, what a team last season. I mean, just coming out of nowhere and just sticking it to the man. That was great.
Their draft was
incredible.
Home runs.
So
they didn't have a draft pick last year, or a first round draft pick last year, and still their draft is littered with starters. Like, they rushed it.
Caleb, I know you were big on the Florida State deal, with the whole bowl situation. But getting to see at least Verse and Fisk play together again is going to be super exciting. And because they're a powerhouse unit, and that bowl game they played into just was pitiful. And I think just getting them back together is going to be just awesome. It's going to be electrifying. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that between the two of them. I mean, when they picked up Verse, they needed that edge help anyway, for that rushing. So to get that added to their arsenal is going to be great for their defensive side. I'm excited. And then just trying to replace what Aaron Donald did is going to be such a challenge. But with the two of them, Verse and Fisk, I think it's a very doable option. And I think there was, a few weeks ago when we were talking about this, you're going to need at least 2 guys or 3 guys to make up what he did.
Okay, who's the D tackle they added in the draft? Why am I drawing a blank?
Brandon Fisk.
Yeah, Braden Fisk.
Braden Fisk.
Where's he from?
Florida State.
Florida State and Jared Verse played Florida State.
I thought they got one from Texas too. Am I wrong? Did they not? Why was I thinking Rams grabbed one from Texas as well? Not the guy, first rounder guy. His running.
Talking about Tavondre Sweat?
No. Is that
the only other Texas? They picked up a 6th-round wide receiver from Texas, but that was it.
Byron Young is the one that was like the fast guy from Texas. And then Tavondre Sweat went to the Titans.
Yeah, I knew it wasn't Sweat. Okay, my bad.
Byron Young went to the Seahawks. So
I was thinking there was somebody else they grabbed other than Fisk to add to the defensive line.
I mean, Jared Verse.
And
no,
they grabbed
he's
Kitchens.
an edge. I was thinking interior. I was thinking they added another interior guy for some reason. My bad.
Because I mean, the two of them together are going to be great. And then on top of that, they also picked up Blake Corum from Michigan, which him and Stafford, that's going to be great.
I think they got, for me, and I'm biased, I think they got the best safety in the draft.
Kitchens, I was going to bring him up too.
I'm a little biased though. Oh,
I might be the only guy not high on Corum.
What? Dude had 27 touchdowns last season.
Product of a system.
That O-line, the one thing about that though, that Michigan O-line was littered with NFL starters. Like,
I'm not saying he wasn't a really good college running back, but I've seen a lot of really good college running backs do diddly squat at the next level. I'm not saying he's going to do diddly squat, but I don't think he's going to be this 1-2 punch with Kyren Williams that everybody might believe him to be. He's a
tip-off boys.
He's a fill the need if Kyren Williams goes down kind of thing, and he'll do it maybe okay. I'm not trying to be mean. I just think when I watch Michigan, the running back I want to own is Edwards. And you go watch that dude and his highlights and then see what he does this year when he's the main guy. I think you're going to see a Jahmyr Gibbs type from him. So I don't think Corum's as big of a deal as maybe people are thinking it will be or could be. That's just me. But I do love the defensive picks that you talked about. I don't know why I kept thinking there was another guy they had as well, but they still are filling great need.
They picked up a defensive lineman from Clemson.
Oh, maybe that's who I was thinking about.
And they got an edge from Washington State. So
solid.
The Rams are going to be solid. I really hope we get another Rams-Lions matchup.
Dude, I want Cooper Kupp to be healthy all year to run with Puka Nacua.
Yeah,
that's what I want to see.
That'd be nuts.
Like, those two dudes are the same. Like, they're the same guy.
Yeah, it's pretty
crazy.
Guy. Pretty crazy.
And like, I just feel like in fantasy it's going to be tough because you're like, well, Puka put up a crap ton, but that was because Cooper Kupp was out. When Cooper Kupp came back, it kind of evened out a little bit. But Kyren Williams, Stafford still slinging it. Sean McVay, I mean, he's a great coach. So I'm excited about that. That's a great pick. That's another one of the picks I would have had. So I appreciate that. That you have great picks there, Robert. You stole two teams that would have been great to have in this draft.
Appreciate it.
So I'm gonna finish up before we start talking Nuggets. I got the last team of the draft, and let's go. Let's go, Birds.
You two really went out of the box for your picks, didn't you? Nothing obvious.
I'm not picking gross teams like the Colts and the Raiders, bro. Come on now.
You guys went chalk. You went like obvious as possible.
Hold on. You've got to have reasons though, right? Look. Hold on. Look, I think the Philadelphia Eagles are being undervalued right now.
What?
Bro, nobody's talking about the Eagles right now. Nobody. They are so undervalued right now. The Lions, the 49ers, the Rams have love. You still got the Cowboys. You got the Packers. Nobody's talking about the Eagles right now. But you know what? The Eagles went out and they grabbed and again, they fell apart last season. they fell apart. They lost their
Down the
identity.
stretch they did for sure.
They didn't have a competent OC. They didn't have a competent defensive coordinator. That showed. It also showed they lost a really good OC and they lost a really good DC. Both of those coaches are pretty good, I think, and Shane Steichen and Jonathan Gannon. I think we both think those are good guys.
If we're being honest, there's a reason the head coach was given a little bit of a leash because he brought those guys with him, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he should be able to try and do it again. He just has to do it again.
So, with the Eagles, they signed. Unfortunately, Jason Kelce retired. Unfortunately, they already had his replacement in Cam Jurgens, though, so they're good there. They hired offensive coordinator Kellen Moore, which is probably an upgrade over last season. I don't know how he meshes with that offense, but it's an upgrade over last year. And then they grabbed Vic Fangio on defense. And everybody's running Vic Fangio's defense right now with their schemes of, don't get beat deep, let everything underneath you, and then come up and tackle. A lot of teams are playing that. I think that'll help the Eagles. But, bro, they knocked it out of the park. Saquon Barkley, if he's healthy, it can be argued as the best back in the league. I think he's in the argument if he's healthy. Behind an O-line that typically gives you space to run. Like, that's just going to be so good. They picked up Bryce Huff from the Jets, who had over 10 sacks. They picked up Devin White from the Bucks, who had a down year. Then they picked up C.J. Gardner-Johnson, got him back from the Lions because he didn't quite fit their defense. And I even think Devontae Parker is a nice third addition to Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. So, and again, hopefully they'll get healthy Dallas Goedert. So they drafted Quinion Mitchell, Cooper DeJean. Those are two guys that help out that back end. They brought back C.J. Gardner-Johnson, so they're one of their weaknesses was their secondary. They've built it back up. And then I feel like a lot of people are underestimating the Eagles, and that's why I'm excited to watch them come back. I like Jalen Hurts. I like the way
nobody is underestimating the Eagles, my guy.
I think they are.
Nobody. They were given praise for their draft picks. Right after the draft, people were praising them.
Praising your draft picks
fell in their lap again. It just fell in their lap. Like, come on now.
Praising draft picks and like saying these guys are going to the NFC Championship game are two different things,
Well, because nobody's trying to talk about the teams that are obvious. You guys went with like, hey, we're going to take the 4 top teams and just go ahead and talk about them. Nobody's talking about the 4 top teams right now this time of year. They're looking for teams that could do something that you're not expecting. That's why nobody's talking about them, Pinky.
Robert and I picked teams we're excited about. You picked dark horses that you feel are excited. So I'm not excited about either one of those teams.
I'm not excited. That's not what you didn't tell me to pick teams that I was.
Robert, what did I say?
Pick teams you're excited about seeing.
Ugh, you guys.
You went deeper in the assignment. You get extra credit, but you went deep. So as we finish up,
cheers to that.
As we finish up football, there's a couple things I noted that I wanted to bring up. I'm kind of excited this season on Hard Knocks. They're doing the in-season Hard Knocks. And the in-season Hard Knocks is going to follow a full division, not just one team. I think that's fucking cool. So I'm excited about that. Also, Amazon Prime is making a documentary about Chiefsaholic. And I don't know if you know the story about Chiefsaholic. Robert, do you know the story about Chiefsaholic?
Nope. I'm looking it up right now.
So there's a guy, he dresses up in a wolf suit with Chiefs stuff all over him, would go to a lot of their games. Dude would literally rob banks on the way to the games, to the away games.
Bro, what?
Like literally would rob banks on his way to the away games.
That's amazing.
And not only did he do that, but how did he launder his money? Sports betting.
Nice.
Not only that, he escaped.
Bro.
They had to catch him a second time. So I thought that was pretty funny. I'm pretty excited about that. Of course, I kind of wonder why we even have a schedule release. This whole big TV schedule release thing, and they start releasing schedules early. Like they've already said, we've got Chiefs and Ravens on Thursday night.
You know why? You know why?
We've got Chiefs and Ravens to open up the season. We've got a Friday night game in Brazil, Packers Eagles. I'm excited about that, obviously. And then Monday Night Football, we've got Jets versus 49ers. That
Aaron Rodgers don't suck.
That is a crazy good matchup. And then for Tom Brady's first game, Cowboys Browns. That's his first. That'll be his first game on Fox.
Interesting.
America's Game of the Week. And then they've already released 2 games for week 2. We do have Thursday Night Football will be Bills versus Dolphins. And we also have Bengals versus Chiefs. How do the Chiefs get the Ravens and the Bengals? 1-2. 1-2.
Because why not?
Got to start off right for them. That could be tough. So, and then it was kind of released. It sounds like the Broncos are going to Seattle to start the season. Is the rumor. So the full schedule gets released tomorrow night. We'll have all the games tomorrow night. We'll see how that goes. But
isn't also Cam hosting something for that too tomorrow?
He could be. He could be. I didn't. Manly Broncos is on tomorrow. So if you want to live view that, go for it.
Probably check that out with him.
If you want to put out that positivity, check him out. Get that. Yeah, I like that. All right. Switching gears. Let's have a quick moment of silence for the Avs season. That shit's done.
Yeah.
I hate being so negative about it, but like literally I watched that first period yesterday, and they played so bad that I had to just turn it off. Like I was so frustrated just how bad they were playing that I can't watch this. And I'm glad I did. It ended up being like 5-1. So I'm glad I turned it off.
Some unfortunate situations led to some things right before game time that would hurt a lot of teams.
Can you enjoy hookers and blow after the season? I mean, we all like hookers and blow.
It's not like this was a one-time occurrence, though. That's the reason for the suspension. So, my man's lifetime ban, he's got to apply for reinstatement and not eligible to do so until at least 6 months down the road. This isn't like just a suspension. This is good luck coming back to the league.
Right.
So, you hear that about a teammate literally right before you're going to go on the ice.
An hour.
That's and then another one of your starter top line guys is out, sickness, not going to be able to play. Wind gets taken out of the sails, and it's real hard to pick that energy back up. So the outcome of last night's game isn't surprising to me. It's unfortunate they weren't able to get game 2 or 3 when they had opportunities to where they're now down 3-1 instead of 2-2. So
I thought they really had a chance at game 3. They really had a chance. It ended up 4-1 at the end, but it was 2-1 for a long time, and they had so many chances in that second period. Just the puck would not go in the net. So their season's pretty much over, unfortunately. And they've played bad hockey. But, again, the Stars look great. And here's one of the scenarios where I think the rest actually hurt them. Because they were playing so well in the Winnipeg series that week and a half off they had before they ended up playing the Stars. I think they just kind of crushed their momentum. And, that's a thing, right? Finish off a team so you get to rest. But I feel like the Stars have just continued playing good basketball. So
good hockey.
I'm sorry, watching basketball, good hockey. That's right.
It's okay. I do things like that all the time. You guys are always there to help me, so I just figured I'd lend a hand.
We got your back, baby. We got your back.
The kicker with the Avs is that they are in a situation where once again they're missing key contributors at the most unopportune time, and there's not much they can do about it. So, like Landeskog being out last year and this year, and people acting like he's even going to come back. Like his career is done. Let's be real. Like the dude literally doesn't have anything left of his knee.
I like the fact that they keep like, hey, he's skating. Like,
yeah. So,
I mean, he's done.
There are situations with the Avs that they are just flawed, unfortunately, and they haven't been able to find it. The other thing I would say is hockey truly is a lot of luck involved. When you truly start looking at hockey and realizing how a lot of these goals are scored with deflections and chips and things of that nature for that little round puck to get
putting a guy's big fat ass in the goalie's face and he can't see it.
So, unfortunately, the puck has not been bouncing the Avs' way. And this series has put them in a bind to where the missing guys and the lack of that just puck bouncing your way has cost them a lot.
Can we at least, you're pretty tough on the guy. Can we at least give Georgie some love? I feel like Georgie's played pretty good.
With, so absolutely, he has played much better this season.
His not first a great period,
goalie. He may not even be a good goalie, but he is not the reason they will lose this season.
I feel like he's a good goalie, but you want him to be better. He's never going to win you a series or win you that, like, he's not that guy. But, man, in that first period, they peppered him with so many shots that, like, I was, like, shocked that it was only 1-0. Like, it was crazy.
He has definitely stepped up. So he will not be the reason they lose the series if that ends up being the case. I will definitely say that. Cheers, for sure. Crow for me a little bit.
I'll take that for cheers and Crow, and Nuggets are up 3. Let's go. Got to weather that early storm from the Timberwolves. That's the goal. And they don't have Conley tonight. I don't know why he's sitting out, but he is. So that's kind of a big loss for them. He's a stabilizing veteran, and he can hit those threes.
Absolutely.
Oh, that was really bad.
Do you want to just start there then, since you're already talking about it and the people are
right?
Let's you talk about it.
Look, I'll be honest. I put a fork in the Nuggets. I pulled a Charles Barkley. I pulled a Stephen A. I pulled like every media guy out there, and I can't blame any of them. Like, I can't. And I think Chuck said it best today. He was like, look, if you had watched the product that the Nuggets put out the first 2 games, you'd have put a fork in them too, if you're being honest, right? There's fans that are like, no matter what, we're down 3-0, we can come back. We're down 3-1, we can come back. Like, that's cool that you've got that positivity. And I could say that if they're close games and, the other team just kind of pulled it out at the end, like, if we do this or we do that, if we make this adjustment, there's like, if we're Lakers fans and we talk ourselves into all these adjustments that we can make, then yeah, I can see it. But they had literally manhandled us 2 straight games. And that second game, like we talked about, Murray losing his cool, like the whole team losing its cool, and just going up was just it was crazy to see, because we've never seen a Nuggets team. We've seen them. We've seen a couple. I remember a game against the Knicks this season. They lost by 30, right? They just didn't have it that night, but they didn't like completely shut down like they did.
That'll happen in any NBA season if you go back and really look at things. There's going to be a night where you're coming off of a flight that didn't work out. You stayed in a crappy hotel, whatever it is. You're going to have a bad night. It happens in the regular season.
And again, you could have a bad shooting night, right? You could be getting good looks and they're just not falling. There's just nights that happens, right? So I feel bad that I wrote them off, but again, I don't feel like they play like game 1. I thought they actually did play well. It's just like that last 6 minutes in the fourth quarter, we went cold. They didn't. They won that game. But game 2, that was so bad on your home court. Can you imagine paying thousands of dollars to go see that game and then have us just get completely embarrassed like that?
Definitely.
Like that's just that would have been super painful. So, but oh my God, what a turnaround. And I think one of the biggest reasons for that turnaround was not having Jamal Murray bring the ball up the court most of the time, because they were pressuring him and he was using so much energy just getting the ball up the court that now they've got Aaron Gordon and Joker bringing the ball up, and that frees Jamal to save that energy and then be available on the in the half court. So ooh.
Yes and no. The thing about it is that's not a new wrinkle for them. It's not like that's something they haven't done throughout the last.
But that's
3
if you looked at game 2 to game 3, that was a big change. Game 2, they kept having Jamal come up. He kept getting trapped. He kept, they were pressuring him, and his calf wasn't quite right yet. So that's exactly what I would do. Attack the guy with a bad calf. But I saw that as being one of the difference makers.
It's a good wrinkle. I love that all these analysts and pundits are trying to come up with reasons or things the Nuggets did differently to get back in the series. And it's nothing more than what I said. I was surprised they hadn't done all playoffs, which is play with energy. They had been playing flat and unlike Nuggets basketball all postseason. Taking too many outside shots, not really playing aggressively on the defensive end. And those two things are not common for them, even though people want to believe they are. The reason they went through a run last year and the reason they were one of the best teams in the regular season is because they actually are a really good defensive team and because they're actually one of the best field goal percentage teams, meaning they take a lot of easy shots, not a lot of outside shots per se, or if they are, they're open looks. They're not forcing the issue. For whatever reason, they didn't really want to do that all playoffs. And I gave you what I thought was common sense.
You had a good game plan, my friend.
Okay, so I thought, right? Well, I said part of that was just bringing the energy and then doing the things that they need to do. That's what you finally saw in game 3 and 4. They woke up, they turned on the switch, which I said they have the ability to. I don't know if they can, though. They're talented enough to, but will they? I wasn't sure what would happen because after game 2, what I saw from that team was so unlike the characteristic of this team over the last 3 or 4 years that it just surprised me. And I didn't know where it came from, so I didn't know if they truly were ready to just be done. They were so frustrated or tired or whatever it was that they could have just been done.
Let's just say, it's a fact. The Nuggets have played more basketball than everyone else in the last year and a half, right?
Sure. Now, I also said, Pinky, slow down. We're fine. They can easily go back and win a game in Minnesota, and this thing becomes a whole new series. But they have to do these things. Now that they're doing these things, everybody switched, and now everybody's got the Nuggets as a championship favorite again.
Right.
So it's funny to me how people acted like what Minnesota was doing was the issue and not the Nuggets just playing lifeless. Like, what they're doing, what they're capable of, and they weren't doing it for some reason. So there wasn't this big change they had to do. They just had to show up, which they decided to do in a big way in games 3 and 4. Now we have a series that the Nuggets are back in control of because they do have home court, because they are the defending champs, because if we're being honest, their starting 5 is better than Minnesota's starting 5.
Right.
It's the benches that were the big question. I did tell you Minnesota most likely will not keep shooting as hot as they were in games 1 and 2 from their bench because that's not what they do.
Game 2.
They will come off a little bit.
Even with all of our stuff, like they were on fire game 2.
Right. So things have leveled back out, and you're starting to see just the sheer talent level play out a little bit. Now, here's the big kicker. Part of the reasons game 3 and 4 were so lopsided is because Cat went MIA. If Cat decides to show up again, you're going to get really competitive close games because that opens up Anthony Edwards a little bit more.
What they do?
Daniels, that opens up Naz Reid. It helps everything. They
force Cat to be a spot-up shooter, and that's not really his game.
What did I tell you I would do from the very start of the series, where I would have guys and who I would have them on?
I mean, I think if I remember right, I think you said we're going to go ahead and play, KCP on Ant, let Ant get his, but guard everybody else. Force everybody else to make buckets.
I said you run Aaron Gordon at Cat, and you make life difficult for him. You let Jokic just hang out on Gobert and help out. But what you're doing there then is you're running KCP at Ant, Aaron Gordon at Cat, and then when you want to change that up a little bit and you want to run Aaron Gordon at Ant a little bit, KCP can roll over to Conley or whoever else you want him to, and you can run MPJ at Anthony Edwards a little bit too, because while he may not have the size, he has the length to still frustrate Karl Anthony Towns on the outside and force him to try to get on the inside, wear him down a little bit with that. So the Nuggets had ways to run multiple guys at their two best offensive threats, whereas I didn't see Minnesota being able to do quite the same thing on the same level to the Nuggets.
Cat's on the bike, man. Something's going on.
He busted up his knee. Him and KCP hit knees.
Yeah. Robert, did you see any of the highlights? I don't think you watched the game, so I know you had some family stuff.
No, I haven't watched any of the highlights from the last one, so I still got to catch up on that.
Oh man,
I did see the halftime buzzer beater, though. I did see that.
Oh,
that was nice.
What a combination of just bad plays.
Yeah.
So, let's go.
It just added to the confidence level, though. Like Minnesota couldn't afford.
How did not call fall on that? Sorry.
Minnesota couldn't afford to give the Nuggets that type of adrenaline shot in game 3 and 4 combined, and now they put themselves in a hole to where it's going to be hard for them to climb out of. And I do like the Nuggets still. I've never backed off of that. Now, if they had lost game 3, I'd have been like, all right, here we go. Like that's, but I still felt okay.
4 straight against any team is tough. But the fact that they won those 2 back-to-back, and again, they played Nuggets basketball. That's what I was most excited about. Like
exactly,
they played Nuggets basketball. Joker showed, and I think it's funny. Like in between, like Joker did not have his best games, game 1 and 2. He gets MVP, and then he comes out and shows why he's MVP in games 3 and 4. Like he just crushed it. What they call?
Yes, he absolutely did crush it, and I've been saying this for years now. I have been getting just ripped for it for the most part. Now, it could just be the silent majority isn't speaking and the loud minority is, but Rudy Gobert is not a defensive player of the year caliber player. In no way is he on the level of a Ben Wallace or a Dwight Howard or guys who were these defensive specialists. Rudy Gobert's not a defensive specialist. He's a really tall dude. He plays center field.
He's one of the greatest defenders of all time.
Oh, gross, dude. We're not joking about this right now, Pinky. Don't do this to me right now.
I'm just saying that's what people are like. Again, he won 4, so he's up there, right? But again, he's really not.
He cannot play on the perimeter, period.
Right.
He cannot guard any true low post player because he will get bodied and pushed out for days. And
I feel like you should be proud of me, Caleb, because I literally mentioned in game 3, his thing was when because he did not play game 2. So they had all of their defenders and they were pressuring everybody on the Nuggets, right? Game 3, he's back in the game. He is leaving spacing for someone. Whether he's on Joker, whether he's on Aaron Gordon, whether he's on somebody, he's not guarding them on the perimeter, and he leaves that spacing, and then he goes to protect the rim, and then you've got a guy wide open. And they took full advantage of that. The other thing, and again, this is, talking about, him as a defender, but as an offensive player, in game 4, he rolled to the basket every play, and they did not throw him the ball. And he's wide open. He's rolling to the basket with Christian Brown, Jamal Murray, KCP, like everybody that's there, and he's got a complete size advantage, and they're not throwing him the ball. Like
because he has no footwork, he has no shot. All he can do is dunk. And guys, honestly, if we're being perfectly honest, he's not a great rebounder, and he's a liability on the offensive end. So if you really break down his game and you look at what he does, he's actually a liability on both ends of the basketball floor. But because he blocks shots and he can play center field, and people think that because of that, he alters the other team's offense.
I would argue Jaden Daniels is better than him at defense.
Naz Reid's better. Jaden Daniels is better. I would argue Ant's better. So there's a reason one of Danny Ainge's first moves when he got to Utah as the front office lead was to go ahead and move Gobert. And he got a steal in what he fleeced Minnesota for that. And I could not believe Conley made that move, which is why I believe it was an ownership decision to go through with it, not a front office decision. But Gobert is wildly overrated, in my opinion. And it blows my mind that he's won as many awards as he has, and people think he's
such an offensive liability that, like, I just, like, man. Hey, Nuggets won another quarter, fellas. They won another quarter. And again, I this is all about Anthony Edwards is going to get his. He's going to put up his 25 to 30.
That's where I want to finish.
He's a dog. He's a dog. I will say, I don't hate his trash talking at the end of game 4. But, bro, you just got smoked 2 games in a row on your home court, and you're trying to talk trash?
I think that's the thing. It's not trash. I think that's where people are getting this confused. He's not talking trash. He's basically saying, I'm going to keep talking win or lose, and I'm good with that. You go ahead and keep talking win or lose, and let's see who comes out on the top. He's got that true Jordan, Kobe, hardcore competitive spirit that is missing from a lot of today's
What doesn't he have, though? He doesn't have a team that can back up that check that he's writing. That's what he doesn't have.
No, I don't want to hear that check. He's not writing a check. He is telling you exactly his mentality. I hate that that's become this check that you can't write or you're talking. No, hey, guess what? I am an actual competitor, and I'm going to talk whether if I'm losing or winning, you're going to get the same me. And if more people acted like that, you might actually see different outcomes to games because you're seeing a dude who truly cares. Now, I love that also Jamal Murray didn't say anything back because he just let the game do the talking, especially after what happened to him, where things were. He allowed Anthony Edwards to do and say what he wanted to. And then Jamal Murray just kind of kept moving and said, I know I'm not going to say anything right now. We're going to keep coming at you. So I love what both guys did. And Jamal Murray chirps too.
Well, sometimes, what's more disrespectful?
To
Not
me,
responding.
More disrespectful is letting some dude chirp and then hitting a shot in his face and just staring him down and saying nothing. That, to me, is more disrespectful because they know then they got to try to talk more to make up for you doing them dirty. And that, to me, was always the best feeling. If you can make some guy talk when he shouldn't be because of your gameplay, you got him. And that's what Murray's doing right now, in my opinion.
The one thing I love about this is, like, I think Ant-Man has definitely arrived, and I'd be now. He gonna have to get one soon because Wemby's coming. But I would be shocked. I would be shocked. I feel like Wemby's coming.
Wemby as a person might be coming. That doesn't mean the Spurs are coming.
Well, hold on. I'm talking mainly on like the MVP talk.
Oh,
like best player in the game talk. Like I feel like Wemby fills the stat sheet so much that like he's gonna stack up a couple MVPs just based on how he fills that stat sheet, man. Like and he like again, they won a lot of games this season that they had no business winning with the talent they have on that roster, and it's mainly because of him. And he only got better and better as the season went. Ant-Man's that dude too, and I'm just like I'm excited for that. Ant-Man's 22, and he is like that dude is awesome.
I love watching him play. I love the way he talks. I love his energy. He is absolutely that dude, and he's going to be a lot of fun to watch for a lot of years to come.
Oh man, we just go Bear score. Gross. All right, final thoughts, Robert. What are your thoughts?
Final thoughts. I'm excited to see how the Nuggets wrap things up because it's been getting interesting. Excited for some NFL stuff to see what's all coming still.
Well, we're not ending the show. Easy.
Whoa,
No.
We got more to talk about. What do you want to talk about?
NBA playoffs.
Oh, okay.
We're not some Denver sports show. What is wrong with you two? You know better.
I just got excited. It's okay.
So if you got NBA playoffs, man, go for it.
You disappoint me right now, good sirs.
Where do you want to go? Where do you want to go?
Yeah, where do you want to
The
go?
NBA play. If this was the NFL playoffs, speaking, you never would have stopped at the Broncos.
Well, that's because the Broncos aren't in it.
Well, if they were, that wouldn't have been the only game you talked about. Look, we'll stay out west. You said, good sir, Pinky being, Dallas didn't have a prayer. They almost went up 3-1 if they didn't collapse down the stretch last night in the last 5 minutes of the game. We got a series, and it's a damn good one between what
Michael
Dallas
Malone just got
doing
teed up.
and what OKC is doing. Now, OKC is young and energetic and talented. You're telling me to wrap it up?
They should challenge that. Gobert just elbowed the dude in the chest. That's why Mike Malone got teed up.
Oh, you want to just do a neighborhood of the Nuggets game? You want to just move it to there? Is that what we're going to do here?
I did watch the last fourth quarter of that Mavs game. Luka's not right, man. He's not right.
Little injured, little banged up. That's what I was about to say is that youthful energy of OKC paid off in that game down the stretch. They were able to take Kyrie and Luka out of it. PJ Washington wasn't able to hold serve all by himself. And OKC snuck away with one. Dallas should be up 3-1 going back to OKC right now. They're not. They're tied 2-2. OKC's got home court, and it's a wide open series again. Now,
I have no idea what's going to happen in that series.
Luka gets a little bit of rest. He could hopefully be a little bit better. I still like Dallas, to be honest with you. And I think I picked them in 7 to start, I believe. Maybe not, but I do believe I said I was going 7 coin flip. Worst case, maybe. We can go back and look. But that's a series, and I'm excited to see how it plays out. And I gave Kyrie a little bit of praise last week, and
You did.
He's been playing really great basketball. I like Lively, and they've got some length there in Dallas as well to give a lot of people trouble. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Now, all that being said, the reason I'm not going to give it any more true credence other than SGA is part of the reason OKC came back is because I don't think either team could beat the winner of Denver, Minnesota.
Right.
I still think, personally, Denver, Minnesota are the 2 best teams left in the playoffs. That's where I'm at. And
Absolutely.
I feel like a lot of people were giving Minnesota the best team left in the playoffs after the first 2 games of that series. So for me to say that, I feel like shouldn't be going out on a limb, even though I did say it and social media tried to bite my head. So
I will say
it's funny.
Last night's game, man, when they were down, OKC, when they were down, SGA did take over. He made like 4 straight shots. Dude's on him. He just got to his spot, shot it up. Like damn. Dallas should have won that game. They really should have. But they went cold, and SGA was just popping, man.
Yeah, that's definitely the difference maker right now in the series, if you will, is OKC is SGA and the youth, and
Luka needs to get healthy.
No,
like Luka has no pep in his step.
So it'll be
He's out
interesting
there.
to see how this plays out. I still think it's going 7. I do like Dallas. Going out east, Cleveland got one, Pinky. They won a game, and they had an opportunity to steal game 4 as well.
They did.
But they didn't have Donovan Mitchell, unfortunately.
The fact that they kept it within 7 points without Donovan Mitchell is a freaking miracle.
So I told you, be wary of Boston. They're going to do something that they just don't live up to expectation. You can't really explain it, but it's going to happen, and that's where we're at again. Now, they're going to win this series, and then they're going to get a walkthrough in the Eastern Conference Finals, whether Indiana finds some miracle to pull this out or New York advances, which they should. And that's simply because if New York advances like they should, they're missing 4 rotation starters. Jalen Brunson just is starting to look worn down. He can only do so much. They do not have enough to compete with Boston. So it won't be much other than Boston almost kind of has a cakewalk, if you will, into the finals at this point.
Yeah, it's so sad. I'm actually friends with a Knicks fan that we've reconnected through Facebook and we've been texting, and it's just sad that they're missing so many people that like they can't be. I feel like they would have probably like run Indiana off the court if they had everybody.
I
Another
think they would've
offensive
swept
foul.
Indiana
Let's
if
go.
they had everybody. If they had OG, Randall, Robinson, like they're missing key. This isn't like deep bench and they're just short.
I mean,
this is key top end guys.
Randall averages 20 to 25 a game. Like missing him is huge.
Here's the deal. I'm drawing a blank on Bogdanovich.
Right.
The 4 dudes they're missing are 4 of their 8-man rotation that you would play in the playoffs. They're missing half of their playoff rotation right now and still going to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. So are the Knicks in a good place long term? Yeah, they might be. But they're so decimated right now that Boston is going to have a cakewalk into the finals, or they should. If Boston loses somehow, that's a fail on an epic level.
I feel like Boston's going to give up a game. They're going to give up
a game,
but
there's no reason they're not in the finals.
They're going to win that series. They're definitely going to win that series. But
so then it goes to who comes out west. I still like Denver, but we'll see how everything plays out going forward.
Porter is ice cold. He can't do nothing.
Don't worry about it. Shoot or shoot, Pinky. Shoot or shoot. He'll find it.
I don't know. Last year in the playoffs, he gave me PTSD because he couldn't do anything shooting.
It's okay. Shoot or shoot. So we'll see how this plays out. But you got Boston. I think you end up with Denver still. But I think the West is a lot tougher road. And I think the better teams are still out west of who wins it all. So,
I mean, I'll take Denver or Minnesota against the Celtics easy.
I would take OKC against the Celtics as well.
Because I just feel like they're so inconsistent. Like, it's not even funny how inconsistent they are.
And honestly, I might even take Dallas against Boston as I'm kind of sitting here thinking about it. I just don't have a lot of faith in Dallas. I mean, in Boston at all.
I don't know if I wouldn't take Dallas against Boston.
I know you would, but you also thought OKC would roll through Dallas. You thought the Clippers would beat Dallas. So you haven't been high on Dallas for a long time.
I mean, the Clippers gave them a pretty good fight. Oh my God. These refs. All right.
You good?
Yeah, we good.
All right, now you guys can do your final thoughts. Robert.
Final thoughts. Actually, just a couple quick nonsense things. New Tomb Raider series is in development at Prime Studios. Looking forward to that.
That could be fun.
That happened today. So very excited.
Caleb, what's one of my favorite genres of movies?
Tomb Raider?
No, not Tomb Raider. Just like it's a certain type of movie. I know I've mentioned it before.
I don't know who John Rizza is. Is that the guy that directed Tomb Raider?
No. I love treasure hunting movies.
Oh, yeah.
I love treasure hunting movies. So yeah, I would be all about that.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Yeah.
So that's really what I got there. Excited to see how the Nuggets still end things out. And some other good sports stuff. Arsenal still in the hunt for the Premier League title. Some big things happening over there, Caleb. So if you're not keeping up with that, definitely take a quick search because some exciting things there, sir. It's tight, very tight.
Haven't followed the Premier as much as I have been the Champions and then the overall.
It's
top end leagues as a whole, just kind of like Mbappe and him moving and things of that nature. I haven't really zoned in on Premier League as
tight.
All right.
So really looking forward to it. So, but that's really all I got.
Your team's Arsenal. Is
Arsenal and Stuttgart.
Arsenal's Cronkies, isn't it? No, Cronkies are Liverpool.
Arsenal's LeBron? The Gunners. The Gooners.
Is LeBron with Arsenal? Who's LeBron with?
LeBron was with. Wait, not LeBron James.
Yeah.
No.
He owns a soccer team?
Well, he owns stock in.
He owns stock in Liverpool.
It's Liverpool. I couldn't remember if it was Liverpool or Arsenal, so it is with the Cronkies.
Yep.
Brumley, good old JJ Watt picked his horse wrong because they just got relegated.
That they did.
And there was a lot of celebs that bought into Brumley. Ooh.
Hey,
Ooh.
you know, there's only one Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney, right? So.
I mean, yes, but like, honestly, if you're buying into a Premier League team, why would you buy into a team that has notoriously never been at the top? Like, what are you doing, guys?
Straight up.
I'm pretty sure Kroenke would have taken your money and let you had a ownership stake. Oh, on that note, these guys didn't want to talk NBA playoffs, but we will continue to. I love it.
Hey, I've been paying attention.
I didn't pay
I'm
attention.
getting better.
Nobody said you were paying
getting
attention.
better.
I just said you didn't want to talk about it tonight for some reason. That's all.
I'm sitting here. I'm watching the Nuggets. I'm like, I'm in, man.
Easy, big guy. Easy. Look, we love the NFL. There's going to be plenty to talk about. I want to end real quick by saying the PGA Championship is this weekend. It's going to be interesting to see how it goes down. Obviously, there's going to be some live guys in there. Live is definitely forcing golf as a whole to change the game, which I absolutely love. And we're going to see some things that are going to be evolving over the next couple of years. I truly believe that. But it is one of the majors. Let's see how things go down. This is the major last year where, I don't know if you guys remember this or not, Ken Block, the local PGA pro, ended up 5th overall, I think, but came out of nowhere and made this huge run. It was a big story because of it. Got paid a lot for it. Unfortunately, Pinky, that is now, I believe, the 3rd time you've done that this show, so you're up to about $75K fine.
Yeah.
Gobert.
I'm just doing the Gobert, right? The Gobert.
Talk to Mr. Gobert. He'll let you know. So keep that in your back pocket for something to watch Sunday afternoon. See how that plays out. We love sports. We love everybody. We love the support. Do not take those moments with your loved ones in your circle.
We love drinking.
Love, family, friends. Take those moments. Cherish them. Not for granted. Do them as many chances and opportunities that present themselves as possible. Thank you all again. Boys, appreciate you. We'll see you next week. We're out.
All right.
Peace.
Go Nugs.
Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Simcoe's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I'm